And welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and today we will be talking about all things college football week 9. The playoff picture is taking shape, and some big time wins for some programs this week. IU keeps rolling. Do they have a case to be the number one team in the country? We'll start off with that. We'll talk about that. Group of 5, a big time comeback by Memphis to upset USF. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the SEC and how that is shaping up. And we'll also, on this show, talk about Texas and Sarkisian and everything that happened there in that game. We will also be talking about A&M dominating LSU and Brian Kelly getting fired. I said we would start off with IU. I changed my mind. We got to start off with this because this was the big news late last night from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Brian Kelly, after a 5-3 start this season, after 8-4 last season, has been fired. Yes, Brian Kelly is out as the Louisiana State University head football coach. Not surprised. Just not surprised. LSU pays the buyout. He was 34-14 in 4 seasons. LSU's firing fourth year head coach Brian Kelly. The school announced Sunday evening. The move comes after the Tigers failed to deliver on high expectations in a disappointing 2025 season. In midst of a 5-3 season, Baton Rouge's buyout of $50+ million will be the second most ever paid to a college football coach. When Coach Kelly arrived at LSU 4 years ago, we had high hopes that he would lead us to multiple SEC and national titles. During his time in Baton Rouge, LSU athletic director Scott Woodward said in a statement released by the school, ultimately the success at the level of LSU demand simply did not materialize, and I made the decision to make a change after last night's game. Okay, we're gonna stop it there. Because I just have some things to say. Number one, I'm gonna get this off my chest. I'm gonna just get this out there. When Brian Kelly, when one of his first moves was to fire the athletic training, the strength and conditioning coach, Tommy Moffitt. And when Tommy Moffitt's at A&M and they just punked you in your own house, that's what happened there. They punked you. They blew you out. They dominated you. They could have hung 60 if they wanted to. They do that. And Moffitt is now at A&M. That was a bad move. Again, Tommy Moffitt was the secret weapon for LSU in the past 2 decades, whether it was Saban, Les Miles, Ogeron. He was the secret weapon. He was part of the reason why LSU won those national titles, because of the culture they set and the attitude, and obviously having those guys in shape, physical, ready to go play. He was the constant throughout those years. So you can make the argument he was the LSU culture. That's one. 2, this goes back to when he was first hired and he spoke at the basketball game in a fake accent. That's bad. And then it never felt like he embraced Louisiana State University. It just never felt like that. It just never, it felt like it was another rung on the ladder. That's what it felt like for LSU, for the job at LSU. And LSU's a big program. Massive, massive program. One, I believe that is like a top 10 job in the country. You can make an argument it's top 5. Brian Kelly I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was he checked out or what happened, but it wasn't working. Now I want to kind of go to the game here because A&M and LSU, and I'm not gonna recap the entire game now. There was a sequence where on 4th and 7, or no, not 4th, excuse me, 3rd and 7, it's 15-14. LSU somehow, by the grace of God, has to lead. Don't know how they had it. Marcel Reed threw a couple bad picks. A&M, they were in control, but they just weren't executing. So it's 3rd and 7. They run like this flat. They run like this. It's a throw to the flat. It gets no yards. And Brian Kelly goes, "What the F are we doing? You can't run that there." Kelly, you have the ability to veto plays. You do have that ability. You're the head coach. What the F are we doing? And this has me thinking, no, what are you doing? And you can say bad play call, whatever. Okay, Concepcion, at this time, I believe it's 21-18. They punt it. He takes it back. Concepcion takes it back to the house for a punt return touchdown. He goes, "What the F are you doing? That will cost you your effing job." No, it cost you your effing job. It cost you your effing job. That's what happened. That cost you your effing job, Kelly. And then he's saying, "What the F are you doing to Blake Baker?" And I know a lot of people wanted, because I don't believe this was going to get any better. Like, it was like you can't run the ball at LSU. I said it. We are Louisiana State University, and we cannot run the football. I will say that again. We are Louisiana State University, and we cannot run the football. That's insane. O-line's bad. Nussmeister's taking hits. Defense, it looked elite. Now the last 2 weeks, it's just fallen off a cliff. You can say, "Oh, they should have gave him a chance." Okay, people are not gonna like, "Well, they bought him out." And look, I understand paying somebody not to work is kind of crazy because you're basically saying, "Look, you're so bad at your job that we are going to pay you not to work." That's wild. That's crazy. The one thing I take away from this from Kelly is I don't think he was bought in totally. I really don't think he was bought in. And also a point I just had it in my mind, I might have just lost it, that I really wanted to get to. Hopefully it comes back to me here. Screw it. Yeah, Kelly. Oh, it came back to me. The staff. For the people that's like, "Oh, let's have," I know T-Bob, unnecessary roughness. I think he said this at the Vanderbilt game. He said, I don't wanna pay his buyout." I'm gonna be like, "No, we're not gonna pay you not to work. That's a failing society." I'm paraphrasing. And he said, "No, you go in and we're gonna fire everybody and we're gonna figure it out." The issue with that is they just burned through a staff 18 months ago. They just burned through a staff. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go through another offseason. You're gonna burn through another staff, another one. You just made defensive changes 18 months ago. You let Mike Denbrock go to Notre Dame. You see how that's turning out. Again, this man wasted. You see what Jaden Daniels is doing in the NFL. We've all seen it. You wasted an offense of Jaden Daniels. I think you had Will Campbell was the offensive tackle. Then you had Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors. That is coaching malpractice. The fact that that team didn't even sniff the playoffs because you couldn't get your defense right is coaching malpractice. The fact and I said this, the fact that Brian Kelly said he couldn't win at Notre Dame was blasphemy to me. I just didn't. This whole narrative that people try to push, oh, Kelly's not going to be able to win at Notre Dame. Well, I'm looking at Marcus Freeman. I understand his first 2 years. Okay, the first year wasn't really good, but yeah, kind of got it rolling at the end. Second year, they lost. Tough game to Ohio State. Wasn't great. They then go to the national title game in year 3. And now they're going to go back to the playoff and be a natty title contender. This notion that you can't win at Notre Dame is blasphemous. That whole narrative he tried to push that, oh, I couldn't win at Notre Dame, to me was just preposterous. I don't know how you can look at Notre Dame and look at that job. And I get it. They have high academic standards. We understand all of that. Was the talent that you can accumulate year in, year out, and with the amount of guys that they put into the NFL, I do not personally understand how you're saying, oh, we can't compete with the South. When Marcus Freeman goes in or we cannot compete with the Big Ten and the SEC. When Marcus Freeman goes and beats Georgia, who you could not beat, Kelly, who Kirby Smart, he beat you in your own building in 17. You went to his, and I think in 19, and he beat you there. You couldn't beat Smart. And then Marcus Freeman goes down to the South, by the way, in Louisiana, and beats Kirby. Oh, we can't compete with the Big Ten. Oh, really? They beat Indiana and Penn State. So this narrative that you just could not win is blasphemous to me. You couldn't even. They hadn't won a New Year's Six bowl game in how long? Notre Dame? So it had been like the 90s, and Freeman goes and does that. Like, that's wild. That is wild. The fact that you say you felt like I can't win a national title, like, that was ridiculous. So now the Kelly, because look, if I ever had a friend that was a head coach, personally, and this is just me personally, and if I see you just degrading coaches on the sideline, being like, what the F are we doing? I am calling you personally, and I am chewing your butt up, because no, you do not do that. There's a difference between trying to embarrass your coaches and teaching point. You're yelling at, not even that. It's not even that you're yelling at the coaches. It's because I understand it's an emotional sport. We get all that. It's the fact that you're like, what the F are we doing? You're the head freaking coach. You should know what you're doing. And this all goes back to last year when the kid, when I forgot, I think it might have been Chris Hilton. Why are you jumping? Don't you effing walk away from me? It's just, I don't think the players respected him personally. And I'm seeing a lot of things on social media of former players being like, kick rocks, thank goodness. So that tells you everything you need to know. The Brian Kelly portion of this, I'm done. We're going to get to the recap of the week. I'm done with him. If he gets a new Penn State, fans, get ready, because I think that's going to be your next head coach personally. That I think Penn State's probably going to take a shot on him. But let's get to the LSU part of this. Who does LSU bring in? Is a great question. My answer, I don't know. I don't know. Coach, I'm going to name you the coaches that I think should not take the call, that shouldn't even entertain it. And some of these are obvious. Ryan Day, he's at Ohio State. DeBoer, he's at Alabama. Like those two just off rip. Off rip. Kirby, look what he's doing at Georgia. The top. There's no reason. Kirby, let's be honest. I think Cignetti should not take that call because they just paid him a lot of money, and I explained it before. Going 10 games a season, statue, all that. And we will get to Indiana in a minute. And then I said at 5, Freeman should not take that call. He's perfect at Notre Dame. The kids love it there. He loves it there. There's no reason why he should take. Even though Marcus Freeman, I think, would be a great fit at LSU because he embodies the toughness and he's the leader of men that people need. That they need down there. I do not believe that is a call he should take. In this one, I'm on the fence about because I'm going to say Lanning. And the reason I say Lanning should not take that call is because, okay, I think Oregon has turned into a very premier job. You're going to win at Oregon. You're going to win. You're going to win 10, 11 games. I think he wins a national championship there. Personally, I think he will. I also think you've got Phil Knight, the booster. You get unlimited funding. I just don't think what would be the reason to even leave to go to LSU? As great of a coach as I think Lanning would be, especially down there because he knows the area. What would it be like? Why would he leave? That's not okay. To me, everybody else is on the table. To me, Kiffin. If I'm LSU, I'm calling Kiffin. That's my first call. Because, and I'm not saying Kiffin would take the job. I'm not saying that Kiffin would take the job. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you have to make him say no. Look, I said Marcus Freeman shouldn't take the call, but if he does, make him say no. Maybe call Frank. James Franklin is an interesting one. I don't know if that's the route they take. That could be one. Gruden could be another one. I know Gruden has a coach of college football before, but yeah, that could be another interesting one. LSU has to find a coach that can come in here and revitalize the program. You have to find a coach that I know a lot of people are saying Saban ain't coming back. Saban's done, y'all. Like, Saban's retired. He's fine. He's got game day. He's living his best life. He's done, bro. He's not. Unless, like, he says, you know what? I'm coming out of retirement, but only for Bama. Like, but even then, no. I think Saban, this is my stance. Saban's done. He, not coming back. Okay. So after that, you have to find a coach that obviously can galvanize the program and the fans, but you also have to find a coach that it can embrace Louisiana and can really bring the toughness back. Gotta be able to run football at LSU. Gotta be able to do that. That's the number one thing. Can you run football? Obviously, we can get into the schematic things. And look, I'll wrap this up quickly because we're about 20 minutes deep here into this conversation. But yeah, I really just feel like LSU is a great job. I think people are going to want the job. I've seen people say, oh, Sark, Texas is a top 5 job. Sark, we'll get into Sark later in this pod because I just have some questions about that. But yeah, Brian Kelly fired. Now let's get into the week 9 takeaways. will start in Bloomington, Indiana, where IU dominates UCLA. Not really a surprise here, 56-6. Indiana just continues to roll through people. The Cinderella story for UCLA ends. They get brought down back to earth. The IU's just a wagon. Fernando Mendoza, I think he played really well. 15-22, 168, 3 touchdowns. The defense was great again. Look, they ran the ball for 262. Indiana. Look, in terms of the game, Indiana just dominated. Like, that's kind of what it was. Now, Indiana is a couple game. I'm looking at the standings here. Obviously, they're up a game on Oregon and they're up a game on Iowa. But they already beat those teams. Look, Indiana, if they win their next 3, they're going to the Big Ten title game. So that means they beat Maryland. Then on the road at Penn State, you beat them. Then you beat Wisconsin at home. You should beat them. You should beat those 3. So basically, win your next 3, and you are going to the Big Ten championship game for Indiana. My question is, do they have the case to be the number 1 team in the country? I believe there's 3 teams that have that case. Ohio State, A&M, Indiana. A&M, I think, here's what I think. I think Indiana has the best win of those 3. Truthfully, here's what I think. I think if you're looking at like the best win, Indiana has that. On the beat Oregon on the road by double digits. If you're looking at resume, I believe A&M has the best resume. You stop LSU at night. You go on the road and beat Notre Dame in a thriller. I think I want to say they beat some other ranked team, probably not, but in terms of the resume and them being undefeated, I like their resume just based on those 2 wins more than Ohio State. And then if we're doing eye test, Ohio State is probably best. If we're just doing straight eye test, like what does your eyes tell you about this? It would tell you Ohio State's the best team. People say it's Ohio State in a gap. I don't know if it's a gap because, again, Ohio State, they played like 1 close game this year. So we'll see what they do if it's late in the 4th quarter and if they're tested. Obviously, we'll see. We haven't seen Sayan in those big moments. But when IU plays Ohio State, we will truly see, is there a gap? If Indiana's playing them close and it's a close game, be like, okay, maybe those 2 teams. Because I do think there's not a gap. There's not that big of a gap between like Ohio State, Indiana, and A&M. Like A&M's really good, y'all. Like, I don't know. A&M, I think we're probably gonna get A&M and Bama in Atlanta. I know there's a bunch of teams that have 1 losses. A&M, I think there's a good chance A&M goes to Atlanta, and it's gonna be crazy because they have favorable schedule. They're at Mizzou. Bo Prabula's hurt. Then they're at Mizzou. Then they have South Carolina at home. South Carolina, it's spiraling. Sanford. Then they're on the road on a Friday night at Texas. At that point, unless Texas is like 9-2, which I don't think they will be, they will be in a conversation. Well, actually, I'll take that back because A&M, I don't know what the tiebreaker between a Georgia or Ole Miss or a Vandy would be. So that's actually interesting. But I do think right now the 2 best teams are A&M and Bama. Georgia's right there, I feel. but that loss, it may cost them again. Does Alabama get out of this conference schedule unscathed? It's looking like it. Look, they play LSU at home. I know it's an unranked team. They struggle. We saw that on the road at South Carolina. They're a very good home team. They play Oklahoma at home. They're very good. Auburn's tricky unless they get it by them, but I don't know. But IU, I think those are IU, A&M, Ohio State all have a case to be number one. If you're asking me, I think Ohio State because I think they are the best team right now. So yeah, let's go to the group of five. Group of five. Let's go to Memphis, Tennessee, where Brendan Lewis and Memphis find a way to shock South Florida. And now they are in the best position to be the group of five representative in the playoff. Memphis comes back. They go 17-0 in the fourth. And they win it. They beat South Florida 34-31. South Florida misses the last second field goal. This game was great. This American Conference is great. I am praying that we see this game. Please let us see this game again in the championship game. Look, I know Navy's 7-0, and in Tulane's 3-0. Look, Navy play South Florida, and they play Memphis. They play at North Texas as well on November 1st. Hopefully, look, this American Conference is actually intriguing. I hope we get to see South Florida and Memphis again, or South Florida and Tulane, because Tulane is a team that to me is kind of dangerous in terms of the group of five. They obviously play at Memphis on November 7th, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Memphis in this football game, they got down early. South Florida was in control. Byron Brown's just a stud. I mean, Byron Brown was playing very, very well, running it, passing it. He really hurt him on the ground with his legs. He had 2 touchdown runs. Look, South Florida ran the ball for almost 300 yards. That offense played very, very well. What hurt them was the defense. South Florida didn't take a field goal. I think, or didn't take a field goal. I forgot which quarter. It was in third quarter. They didn't take a field goal when they should have. They went for it. Alex Golas trying to put the nail in the coffin. Doesn't happen. Memphis stops them. That obviously comes back to bite South Florida later in the game. I'm looking at Brendan Lewis, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was hurt. He coming off the injury, was hurt. He was okay with his legs. Look, this game, it just was a lot of grit by Memphis. It really was. The defense came up with big stops when they needed it. It looked like South Florida was going to be like, wow, man. Really, wow, man. South Florida's going to go to this. They're probably going to go undefeated the rest of the way. That's kind of where I was at. Up 2 scores, and then they make a run. Look, South Florida, I believe. Look, they play Navy. They don't play Tulane, but I think they will be in the American Championship. Do they meet Memphis there? I think there's a good chance of that. But Memphis plays Tulane. In Tulane, I've said it, Tulane's really good. Like Tulane, like people don't sleep on Tulane. Like Jake Retzlaff, like Tulane's really good. America doesn't know that because a lot of Americans don't watch the American Conference. But Tulane's a really good football team. I'm telling you, they're really good, man. This American Conference has some really good football teams. North Texas, South Florida, Memphis, Navy, it's really good. So I'll be keeping an eye on that title race in the G5. Memphis, Brendan Lewis, you just find a way to cut that one out. And USF is kicking themselves because they're going to say to themselves, we were the better team for 3 quarters, and you were. But in the fourth, when Memphis needed it, just like when they needed it against Arkansas, they came up huge. By the way, speaking on Group of 5, before we move on, we do have a huge Group of 5 game this week. Hold on, I'm on week 11. This is week 10. LOL, we do have a huge Group of 5 game this week. Let's see here. Where is it? Boom. Navy at North Texas. That's the big game. Obviously has American Athletic Conference title hopes written all over it. So that's a huge game there. But yeah. Look, Memphis was a great comeback at home. USF, that's a tough one to swallow. That's a tough loss to swallow right there. But Memphis gets it done. Very good football game. Now, let's go to Norman, Oklahoma, where Ole Miss may have just punched their ticket to the playoff. They beat Oklahoma 34-26. This was a very interesting football game because Ole Miss, that offense, Kiffin, man, he's got him rolling offensively. It was an interesting football game because Ole Miss, look, up 22-10. They're dominating early. Oklahoma can't get anything going. Then there's a 4th and 1 from their own 30. I don't know why Kiffin does not at least take the delay. Try get him to jump off sides. I don't understand why he doesn't just take the delay there and punt. To be completely honest, take the delay, go punt the football there. Don't give Oklahoma any momentum. They go for it. It's like a direct snap. It's a bad snap. They're stopped short. Oklahoma gets a field goal because, of course, they do because their offense it's not good. It's not good right now. That Mateer tape is going to be tough to watch for him. That Mateer tape, the mechanics, it's tough. The decision making as well. It's at times is a tough watch. That happens. They go down, get the field goal. They obviously, Ole Miss goes down, gets the field goal after that, and you're like, okay, that's not going to hurt them. Then Oklahoma just offensively has 2 great drives. They have that one big run where I believe it was Avery Roberts. They had that one big run. That was really the only big run they had all day. But he goes for a touchdown, so he does go over 100 yards. It makes their running stats look better than what they actually were. But they score 16 in the third, and you're thinking, okay, Oklahoma may do this. But then Ole Miss does a reverse of last week, where they score 9 in the fourth, and they're able to find a way and get a big time road win. And Ole Miss is legit, guys. Ole Miss is a great football team, playing very, very well. They have South Carolina this week in prime time, so we'll see what happens there. But it's looking like their ticket to the playoff is almost as good as punch with that schedule. I mean, it goes South Carolina. I think it goes South Carolina. I think it's Citadel, then Florida. Yeah, Citadel, then Florida, and then they're on the road at Mississippi State. Now they are still in contention for Atlanta, obviously, but Texas A&M being heavily favored there, things obviously get interesting. That loss to Georgia, if Georgia does what they're supposed to do the rest of the way in the SEC, they win out. They can't get that, obviously. I thought Chambliss was great in this game. I thought his poise was incredible. I think Oklahoma's ability to not get pressure consistently is what hurt them in this game, because Chambliss was just eating them for lunch. I mean, he was really incredible in this football game. Trinidad Chambliss. Look, they brought in Austin Simmons for like 2 throws, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well. He misses a touchdown, and then it's another throw that's too high. And Kiffin, I understand what he's trying to do there, but it's not. It wasn't great. It was not. He shouldn't have done that. Should have kept Chambliss in. I understood why he did it though. But for Ole Miss, is Kiffin gonna break? Is he gonna break through that playoff? Like, is he gonna break through and finally get in that playoff? That it looks like he is. Oklahoma, I know before the year, 9-3 is a very good year. I mean, this is a tough schedule. I mean, I'm looking at Michigan, Auburn, Texas. I thought on the road at South Carolina would be tougher, but Ole Miss. Then you got at Tennessee, at Bama, Mizzou, LSU. 9-3 or 8-4. This is a good year. But you're asking fans to be logical. Oh, we were 5-0. So, and then Mateer obviously had the thumb injury. I do believe if Mateer was better, that if he does not have that thumb injury, I think it'll look better offensively. But he's out there, so you can't really make any excuses for him. Look, they play at Tennessee this upcoming week, and that is a game. Tennessee beat Kentucky. Tennessee's offense looked great. That is a game where that's a playoff eliminator. Loser is out. Winner is still like alive. And if Tennessee can win that game, they're a team that a lot of people aren't talking about. Oh, they lost at Bama. They blew the Georgia game. But slowly but surely, they're working slowly but surely. Tick tick, they're walking down. There is a playoff spot right there. I'm looking at their schedule. Okay, win at Oklahoma, or not win at Oklahoma, win against Oklahoma at home. You win Oklahoma at home. If you win on the road at Florida, that game against Vandy, that could be the eliminator. Win, you go to the playoff, lose, and you're home, and you're done. Kind of be what it is, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But yeah, Oklahoma, that's a brutal loss. But here, the downfall of Oklahoma's offense this year is they have not been able to run the football from backs. Jaden has been disappointing. They just haven't been able to really run the football. The defense obviously struggled against Ole Miss, but that's a one performance. And obviously special teams as well has killed them in the Texas game. But the offense has been the downfall of the team this year. But I do still think Venables is coach. But look, if he loses 3 straight here coming up, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough. But very good win for the Rebels. Lane Kiffin did the "I'm not leaving" thing. Also, Oklahoma got outcoached. Again, if you're going to try to scheme against Kiffin, you're just going to get out schemed. That's just kind of what's going to happen there because Kiffin's so great at that. Okay, some other results before we get into this. Virginia beats UNC in overtime. It's a rough game to watch, but they do find a way. Texas Tech blows out Oklahoma State. That's not shocking. Georgia Tech blows out Syracuse. They just keep rolling. Nobody's talking about Georgia Tech. Nobody's talking about Haynes King, but they just keep winning. They keep rolling. Oregon beats Wisconsin. Wasn't pretty, but they did it. Louisville beats Boston College. Cincinnati, they keep winning. 41-20. They blow out Baylor. They just keep winning. And that's a big thing. Okay, now let's get into the rest of this. BYU. I want to give them some love because BYU, look, you got to give credit to teams that just keep winning. That's what they do. BYU wins 41-27. They keep winning. Bear Bachmeier was great in this game. In a game where they kind of struggled to run the football, he did a good job of airing it out. Parker Kingston was great. He had that big Ty Mawson touchdown catch. And Chase Roberts, he was 8 for 128, really good. Where this game changed was the Rocco Beck interception. And Rocco Beck, I believe he cost him this game personally. 3 picks. You just 3 picks. You're giving the ball away. Your offense is having a great day. Your offense, they're running the ball very effectively. Only was running for 200. I mean, look, you were throwing the ball all around a lot, but then that interception middle second quarter, that really turned the game on its head, and you could never really get the momentum back after that. And BYU just takes it. Look, a lot of people won't buy BYU, but I got to give them credit. They have found they found ways to win on the road at Colorado. You have a bad first half, you come back and win that. You win in the whole. You survive on the road at Arizona. Gritty win. You find a way to win. You play Utah. It's a gritty game, but you win it. At Iowa State, you're down, but then your defense comes up with a turnover, and now you're going to find it. Now, the real test is going to be in a couple weeks at Texas Tech. If Texas Tech has their starting quarterback, that's going to be the test right there. That's going to be the test. Are you legit? Because for my money, Texas Tech is still the best team in the conference. So, yeah. Right now we'll see what BYU does there, but I want to give BYU some love. I've picked against them the last 2 times. You got to give them and their coach this respect. I mean, this is the second straight year they're doing it, and they're undefeated to start off 8-0 in the Big 12 or 7-0 or better in the Big 12. This is crazy. BYU, really, really good win for them this season. And a really good start for them, this season. Now, let's go to Nashville, where Vandy beats Missouri in a defensive rock fight, 17-10. Let's just start off with this, and this is a PSA to SEC fans. Whoever is better on the critical, crucial downs, 3rd downs, 4th downs, are going to win these games, and they're going to beat you. Because in the SEC, there's going to be nothing but tight games going forward. Where at that time of year, it's going to be nothing but tight games. If you are not better than the team on the critical downs, you will not win. Vandy won this game because they were better than Missouri on critical downs. Both were getting first drive of the second half is a great example. 3-3. They stop them on third and go. It's fourth and goal from like the 2. We're gonna go run. No. Stuffed. Stop. Prebila gets hurt. That's very unfortunate. Get well soon. That was a big blow. I actually thought Matt Zollers came in there and played really, really well. I really thought I liked him. I he doesn't have both Prebila's legs, obviously, but he has a better arm. I do believe. They play Ahmad Hardy had a decent day. He was 20 for 97. No touchdowns. Look, Mizzou they were able to run the ball uh, effectively. They were able to run the ball enough to where it was effective. The play of the game was the Macklin Young touchdown, the 80-yard touchdown. That was huge because at that point it's tied at 3-3. Nobody can get anything going. Defenses are playing well. They break it. Again, Vanderbilt won this game because they won in the crucial moment. It was a wacky game. Both defenses played very, very well. But it was just one of those games, man, that you look up and you go, it's just wacky. Like you can't even really explain it. It's just that it's wacky. And I said it last week. It's time to stop saying, "Oh, how is Vandy this good?" No. How do you beat Vandy? You have to be better in the crucial downs. They said, we're just going to out execute you on these crucial downs, and that's how we're going to beat you. They did it against LSU, and they did it again against Missouri. And now I'm looking at Vandy, and I'm like, is there a chance they can go to the playoff? And I say yes. Now look, they have on the road at Texas. They have Auburn. They have Auburn. They have Kentucky, and then they have at Tennessee. Go 3-1 down the stretch. I think you're a playoff team. If you win at Texas, and then you beat Auburn and Kentucky, you're a playoff team. On the road at Tennessee, you lose that. To me, you're still a playoff team. But to me, the SEC, it's going to get weird because, okay, somebody's getting eliminated this weekend. LSU's done. Oklahoma in Tennessee, somebody's getting eliminated there. Missouri, I believe they're gonna I think they're kind of done. I don't think they're gonna make any sort of run. To me, the teams that are still alive in this playoff race in the SEC are obviously A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Vandy, Texas, Tennessee. So those standing, that's where I'm at with it. Oh, and Oklahoma, because I said somebody's going to get eliminated in that game this week. Vandy they have a very, as long as they don't get got, there's a very good chance they could be a playoff team. And we could live in a world where Indiana, Vanderbilt, and Georgia Tech are all playoff teams. If I had told you that even 3 years ago, you would have laughed in my face. It's a crazy times, and it's crazy how college football can just continue. How this cycle of college football, all it takes is one right hire. All it takes is an investment into the program, and you can start winning. These programs have made the right hires, and those hires, they have brought their culture in. And Clark Lee to turn Vandy what he's turned Vandy into, for Cincinnati turned Indiana what he's turned Indiana into. Look, I know nobody's talking about Georgia Tech and their head coach. He's up there because look at where Georgia Tech has been historically in previous years, and look where they are now. It's genuinely incredible what these three programs have been able to do. But Vandy finds a way to win. And that's really what you gotta do late season in these games. You have to find ways to win, and Vandy did that. Now, let's go to another team that found a way to win. Texas beats Mississippi State. Hilarious. This game, look, I don't know. 38-21. I'm like, game's over. Nope. Nah. Texas just scores 24 straight to win. Like, it's a culture win. That's as best as I could describe a culture. They scored 24 points in the fourth quarter. They scored 31 in the fourth and overtime combined to beat Mississippi State. It's as gutsy and it's as good of a win as you'll see in the SEC this season. Mississippi State, Blake Shapen, they were having their way. It looked like Mississippi State, Libby, they were finally going to get that you feel like that signature win. It didn't happen. Mississippi State's been so close so many times, and they fell short again today. Arch Manning play. I guess when he sees Mississippi State, he just plays great. It was 29-46, 346, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. He did more than enough to help his team win, despite his run game not helping him at all once again. Ryan Rigo showed up in the game as well. To me, the big punt return, Ryan Niblett, it's 38-31. They get the stop. They have to punt it back, and he does it again. Against Oklahoma, he did it. He does it again. I said Arch was good down the stretch. In this team, and in this, it's not reminding me of last year from a talent standpoint, but in just finding ways to win. Look, last year, it didn't matter how it looked for a lot of people. It didn't matter how it looked with Texas. They said, look, we don't care how it looks. We're going to win. Whether it's, okay, our defense is going to hold you to 7 points and we're just going to run the football down your throat, or we're going to score 30 plus points here. Our offense is going to be explosive. It's going to, and look, last year, a lot of people thought, including myself, that the offense should have been more explosive, but last year, they're just finding ways to win. This year, they're finding ways to win. That's what happened. Kentucky, it's an ugly game, very hard to watch. Find a way. Oklahoma, very ugly game. Both sides, brutal to watch on offense, but you find a way with special teams. This game, your defense is getting obliterated, but then your offense finds something, and then your special teams nibble it. Don't punt it to him. Arch went out with a concussion late, which, but Matthew Caldwell came in and ripped one for a touchdown. So you're looking at Texas, and honestly, and you have to look at this honestly and be like, how in the heck are they 6-2? How in the heck are they 3-1 in the SEC? Like, how in the world is this happening? And to be honest, culture. That's what it is. Culture. It's a culture win. That's what it was. The culture that Sark has built has been insane. He's not. I don't believe he's going to the NFL. He had to come out and basically say, "I want to know where y'all got that report," because never have I had to put anything out there for this. So I don't know who you got this information from, which kind of interests me because I'm like, where did he get that information from? Because when I saw the report, I was like, whoa, time out. Now, I don't usually, being me, I don't usually want to just run with a story because it could not be true. And Sark basically denied that. And obviously it's died down. But just thought like Sark's not the type of guy in the middle of a season. Nah, nah. So yeah, uh, Texas big time win saves the season. They're still in it. It's a culture win. They just find ways to win. We talked about A&M and LSU. Let's talk about Bama real quick, and we'll get out of here. Bama survives against South Carolina. Look, South Carolina kind of they fumbled the game away. That's as good as I can tell you. Fumbled the game away. Literally, Lenore Sellers late fumbles the game away. Alabama, look, they were down 22-14, and you're going, uh-oh, here we go again. And no, it didn't happen. Offensively, Ty Simpson found it. They found the rhythm, and they were able to win. This is a different Alabama team than last year. Last year, they did not handle adversity real well. This year, they do. They've been in some tight situations, tight games. And look, that Florida State game, still don't know how that happened, but they found a way to win. And again, I'll say it again, and I will say it until I'm blue in the face. At this time of year, you have to find different ways to win, and that is what teams are doing. Whether you're Alabama, an A&M, a Texas, an Indiana, Virginia, whoever you are, you have to find ways to win. Ty Simpson probably this is probably his worst game since the Florida State game. He did not play well in the first three quarters, but he was great late, and that's all you can ask for. Shane Beamer's seat is warm. I thought this was the game to kind of turn around the season, and they couldn't do it. All right, everybody. This has been the episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast, my college football week 9 takeaways, and Brian Kelly fired. This will come out on Monday, so when you're seeing this, I will see you tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow for the NFL Week 8 takeaways. That is just going to be a jam-packed show. I have a lot to talk about. All right, until the next time, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and see ya.